Well, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you guys got some refreshments out there and you're ready to listen to our esteemed panelists today. I would once again like to welcome you to today's panel discussion on the escalation of crime in the Memphis community and potential solutions. Today we have a distinguished panel of subject matter experts representing different perspectives on this important issue. But before we get started, I need to introduce myself because I didn't do that. My name is Kayla Thompson. I am also one of the most counselors, and it is a pleasure for you guys to be here and for me to see all of you guys participate. So let's begin by introducing our panelists. So we're going to begin with our first panelist, Dr. Marcus Matthews. I'm going to give you a proper introduction this time. Dr. Marcus Matthews is an author, consultant, middle school administrator, and motivational speaker born and raised in the Fraser community here in Memphis. He holds a doctorate in higher and adult education, a master's in instruction and curriculum leadership, and a bachelor's in journalism, all from the University of Memphis. Dr. Matthews' most recent book is called Urban Aces: How to Reach and Teach Students Traumatized by Adverse Childhood Experiences. This book has garnered national attention, and it is the guidebook for the school districts, educators, counselors, and parents supporting students who have experienced childhood trauma. Practitioners across the country have used it as far as Jamaica and France. Dr. Matthews is a founding professor at the American College of Mental Health Education, where he has designed classes on adverse childhood experiences, trauma-informed teaching, culturally responsive teaching, social and emotional learning, and school climate. Dr. Matthews, is there anything you'd like to say before we begin?
No, I said a lot.
Everyone, please give a hand for Dr. Marcus. Our second panelist is Dr. Jan Young. Dr. Jan Young has had a distinguished career in education, healthcare, the military, and philanthropy. As the executive director of the Assisi Foundation of Memphis, Dr. Young is accountable for effectively facilitating the foundation's philanthropic activities, management, community relations, and strategic direction. The Assisi Foundation is a healthcare legacy foundation formed from the sale of St. Francis Hospital in the 1990s. Its mission is to respond to the diverse needs of our community to support health, lifelong learning, poverty issues, social justice, and responsible use of resources with respect and compassion for all. Since its inception, the foundation has awarded over $250 million to not-for-profit organizations serving persons primarily here in Memphis, Tennessee, and the Mid-South region surrounding Memphis. Dr. Young, is there anything that you would like to say before we begin?
No, thank you.
All right, everyone, please give a round of applause for Dr. Young. Our third panelist is Mr. Ernest Greenleaf. Mr. Ernest Greenleaf is the Executive Director of Police Services and Risk Management here at Southwest Tennessee Community College. He has 34.2 years of experience with expertise in physical security and formerly served as Associate Director of Police Services here at Southwest. Mr. Greenleaf, is there anything that you would like to add before we begin?
Thank you.
Everyone, please give a hand for Mr. Greenleaf. Our fourth panelist is Ms. Jamaica Barnes. Ms. Jamaica Barnes is an Associate Professor of Criminal Justice here at Southwest Tennessee Community College. Ms. Barnes, is there anything that you would like to say before we begin?
I guess I'll add everything when we start the panel.
All right. Everybody, please give Ms. Barnes a round of applause. And last but not least, our fifth and final panelist, Mr. Calvin Stanford. Mr. Calvin Stanford is the founder of Marketality, LLC. He is a native Memphian who, like many others in the region, was on a destructive path, but he has turned it around toward complete success. Calvin has positioned himself as an entrepreneur and business owner by successfully working his way through educational opportunities by attaining a degree in accounting from none other than Southwest Tennessee Community College. And he was voted Alumni of the Year last year, 2023. Mr. Sanford, is there anything that you would like to add before we begin? Thank you so much. Everyone, please give a round of applause for Mr. Sanford. All right, now we can start with our questions. First, I would like to thank you all for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here. Each of you will receive a question to answer, and you will have 12 minutes to answer the question. Ms. Daphne Shaywick, Ms. Daphne, please raise your hand, is our timekeeper who will hold up a 5-minute sign to let you know that you have 5 minutes left. So please, pay attention. So let's start the discussion. Mr. Ernest Reedy, we're going to start with you, okay?
Okay.
Mr. Greenleaf, what are some major challenges with law enforcement that could be impacting Memphis's crime problem?
Some major challenges with law enforcement. I think that a lot of the direction that people are going nowadays with committing crimes and victimizing others. I think the foundation of it, the challenge is that it starts not with law enforcement, but it starts with home. It starts with them having a foundation from the very start of their lives.
Right.
It starts with them being shown love, so they don't have to go and try to find love in places that are not where they're not actually where their best interests are started from. I think that each person, if you have a structure at home, and a lot of people, believe it or not, are looking for guidance. And if they don't get that guidance at home, if you have a negative source that comes and give them some type of guidance, they may follow that instead of some positive guidance that they should be getting at home. Structure and showing love to them at a young age is a huge part of building that foundation. And it is not only structure of showing love and guiding, you have to lead them in a positive direction and show them what life has for them in store if you travel these certain routes. When I used to speak to young people a lot, when I was with Memphis Police, or retired from Memphis Police, I worked in a community policing program. And we used to do a lot of speaking to young people. And one of the main things I used to iterate with them all the time is that what you do now sets the foundation for how your life will turn out. So, and I try to keep that in their minds. So if you're going in a positive direction now and stay on that path, you're more likely for your life to end up positive. Now, not saying that you can start off going wrong and not change, but why put yourself through the challenges of having to rebuild your life that you have destroyed?
Thank you. So, at the end, I also forgot to mention, be listening, because we're going to have a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions, hold on to those questions so you will be able to ask the panelists any question that you may have.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Manager, for your answer. We're going to move on to Dr. Jan Young. Dr. Jan Young, could you please explain the role that poverty plays in the rise of crime?
Well, we didn't get these questions in advance. So the answers would probably be better if we had a little bit more time to reflect. I believe that most people think of poverty in terms of economically challenged or under-resourced. I would say that we're dealing with more than just that type of poverty, but of the poverty of social relationships. Marcus talked about relationships and how important they are. We live in a period of isolation. We live in a period where there's a lot of divisiveness. Mr. Greenleaf talked about the importance of teaching children as they grow, and so the types of experiences that maybe children suffer that Marcus referred to as adverse childhood experiences. I'd offer for your consideration that as adults suffer from adverse traumatic experiences. And many of the adults providing social services to people who are defined as being in poverty themselves are acting out of those adverse experiences and are not necessarily treating those that they serve from a position of mutual respect and non-judgment. So a lot of the poverty that we see, whether it's social poverty, emotional poverty, monetary challenges, I believe those are the types of things that contribute to a rise in crime when there's a lack of hope, a lack of being able to achieve, and perhaps a lack of being able to be a true human that Marcus referred to. If we take his definition of true as alignment to purpose, and we look at the human as the embodiment of a spirit in a physical form that's able to think, then we know that we're a choice. Sometimes we don't hold people accountable for the choices they make. We don't hold ourselves accountable sometimes. And so being aligned to purpose would obviously, I think, help with reducing crime.
Thank you, Dr. Young, for that profound statement. Does anybody think, on the panel just off top, do you all think that poverty does play a role? Or does not?
Poverty plays a role, but I think poverty gets blamed for all crime. And it's not just people who are in poverty from an under-resourced economic perspective. We have very wealthy people committing crimes. So that's where I would link it to poverty of spirit, poverty of morality, however you want to define poverty. I'm just trying to differentiate that we have poverty manifesting in different forms that contribute.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Young.
Kayla, can I respond?
Yes, you can.
Not only do I agree with Dr. Young, but I also think in terms of, because obviously, as she said, when we hear poverty, we think of financial means or the lack of financial means. But when to your point, to your question, how is poverty linked maybe to crime, I often think about, because my background, I wasn't asked for a bio, so I guess I'll give you a little bio, but I have a master's degree in criminology, my undergraduate degree is in criminal justice, and I've been teaching for almost 20 years. It's been about 18 years that I've been teaching criminal justice at various colleges, but I've been here in Southwest for about 16 years. Look, I'm looking at one of my former students who was here not long after I started, and it's been over a decade ago, but when I think of poverty, I'm thinking of it from a criminological background and thinking about the aspect of deprivation, when people are deprived of something. And so poverty, not necessarily saying that, you know, their finances, that they're deprived of financial means to get what they want. That's one aspect of it. But when you think about people who are deprived of something, that something could be financial, it could be material, it could be a family, it could be, you know, a good household, a strong household, whatever the case may be. I'm looking at it from a perspective of deprivation. If we are deprived of something, I think people are often driven to try and get that in whatever way they can get it, and that could likely contribute to crime. And so we also have to think about, even as Dr. Young said, exposure. You know, not that you have to be wealthy to be exposed. There are a lot of, and I know in the summers here in Memphis, I'm not a native of Memphis, but I've been here long enough. People say I should claim it, but I'm not at that point yet. there are a lot of free resources here that a lot of people don't take advantage of. We have parks, we have riding a trolley for, 50 cents or $1. We have all types of things that people can be exposed to, but I work with young people who have not been outside of their neighborhoods. So not to say that they financially are not, where they need to be, or their families are not where they need to be, but they are deprived in the sense that they're not exposed to everything that's going on. So when we think about poverty and its contribution to crime, I would definitely challenge you all to think about what people are being deprived of. And I do believe experience and exposure play a role in that as well. Yes, sir.
Well, it's good with what you're saying, because there are a lot of people, like, I'm not trying to hate on Memphis, but they often don't take care of, when they have broken buildings or run down places, they don't use that. They don't tear it down or just make it into a mixed use place like Crosstown Concourse. They just leave it around. And I feel like a lot of Memphis people, and this goes for like a lot of the southern states, they're so socially and politically backward. They're unwilling to change, they're unwilling to travel. A lot of minorities don't get the resources they need, not just because they don't use it. And plus, the thing about it, you said, well, use is probably another great point to bring up is that they don't have like public transit or any funding for education or hospitals or to create jobs. I feel like compared to my home state, Atlanta, Georgia, while it's not perfect, they don't have rundown buildings. They have they have public transit, they have education, they have all these resources, and they don't experience like stuff like blackouts or. I'm not hating on Memphis. I think it's a beautiful city, and I think it has a lot of potential. It's just they either don't do anything with it, or they don't adapt, they don't travel. I just feel like Memphis would be so much better. And other states like Louisiana, Kentucky, it's just I think they should get more funding, they should jump at the opportunity to use their resources or get the resources they need.
Would you be kind enough to define and say the way that you're using the term they?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I mean, like, anyone, like specifically minority groups, they have all this. I'm just so you know, I'm African American and Latino, so I'm not trying to bring minorities down. I just feel like they should be. Whenever I see minorities suffering, I think like, isn't there some like systematic racism, or is it that they are unwilling, or they're ignorant to what's going on, or I just feel like minorities should take advantage of these opportunities because that's what they've been fighting for all their lives.
Gabriel, I hope you'll give me your contact information. I would like to invite you to participate in taking just a small quiz. It's the narrative around that we have about poverty that speaks to what creates that narrative. And I believe that you might find the results insightful.
I'll take that on.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys so much. We're gonna move on to Ms. Jamila Barnes. So Ms. Barnes, from your experience in criminal justice, how would you approach the problem of widespread mental illness in addressing the problem of crime?
How would I approach the issue of widespread mental illness and
Yes,
addressing crime? So I actually used to teach a course called Mental Health Aspects in Criminal Justice, and within that course, and that's been several years ago that I taught the course. But one of the main things that stuck out, and a lot of students would always be, surprised to hear was that the statistic of individuals who have mental illnesses, whether diagnosed or not, was over 50%. It was, I think, something like 80 or 85% of all of us, of Americans, are suffering from some form of mental illness. And a lot of times we do not consider postpartum depression. We don't consider depression. We don't consider panic attacks, or we don't consider a lot of those. Now I think they're getting a little bit more publicity in terms of being recognized as some mental health, challenge. But in the past, people only considered mental health illness were the ones that the most severe ones, like schizophrenia. Y'all could just put schizophrenia. Some of the more bipolar disorder, right? Now we are recognizing anxiety, as a form of mental health concern, and so it's hard to say how mental health really impacts crime, because they vary. They vary in terms of extremity. They vary in terms of how people cope with the resources that people have that can help them manage these, matters, the medication that people may be on to help cope with some of these issues. And so it's really hard to kind of put a finger on how mental health concerns contribute to crime. We do know that individuals who go for a while with either undiagnosed, untreated, and unrecognized mental health concerns may be more apt to become involved in crime, but they may be also more apt to become victims of crime. Because individuals, just because a person has a mental health concern or mental illness does not mean they are going to commit crime. They may become more susceptible. These are also vulnerable individuals that we need to, make sure that we consider as well. So it's really hard to say, and I oftentimes, and I hate to point the finger, at and I hate to say the crack epidemic, in the 1990s and, maybe the early 2000s, and, we did have crack babies, and we had children who were born addicted to crack and other, highly addictive drugs, and those babies, were born with issues and born with challenges that may exacerbate, their propensity to commit crime. So it really just depends on the individual, I would say. It depends on their resources, their support system, because some individuals may have extreme mental health issues, but their cocoon, right, of support, of resources, may be what is helping keep them from becoming involved in crime or to become a victim of crime. But I think it's really hard to say. I think now, because it's so public, because it's everywhere, you see, we have commercials, we have social media, we have so much more attention on the variety and the spectrum of mental health concerns that it's easy for people to say, and I really hate that for those who are truly suffering, but it's easy for people to say, oh, I'm suffering from anxiety, and this is what, oh, I'm depressed, and are you really? I don't want to, question anybody's authenticity, but it makes it, to me, it's kind of watering down the seriousness of the concerns that people have and who have been in these issues for a while. So I think it just depends, and it's not a one answer, fit all kind of situation.
I agree with that. Thank you, Ms. Barnes, for the insight. Mr. Calvin Sanford, what impact could education and career readiness have on crime prevention and intervention?
There's a lot of ways you can answer that question. I mean, if you was at work doing a good job, you won't be in the street doing crime. I mean, because, education, from when I went to the streets, it was two kinds of education. We had street education and we had book smart. And it's human nature. We all want to be a part of something. That's just human nature. We all want to feel something. We want to feel value. So if I join a gang, I feel part of something, right? I feel like I'm a part of something because that's human nature. So we're going to join something positive, negative. We want power. whether it's good or bad, but it's my opportunities, if I'm a product of my environment, and these are the resources I have, joining the game, being a part of something, then I'm gonna do it naturally. I was in the game when I was younger, I think I was 13, and my main reason was joining the gang, it wasn't to commit crimes or I wanna be, criminal or I wanna go to jail. It was, I wanna be a part of something. I wanna feel like the fraternity, sorority, gang. I wanna be a part of something. I wanna be protected, I didn't have my father, so I had to find their protections. And that's what she asked you about, youngster. We, a gun, I'm doing videos now where I had a child that committed a crime. He had a gun, and then we stopped him in the crime, we put him in there with a trauma expert. And she asked him, she said, when the first time you ever seen a gun before? He was like, I was 9, 8 years old. She was like, okay, your parents hunt? She wanted us to just the opposite. It was kind of, was y'all hunt? She's like, no. My uncle showed us it. And she asked where his father was. In this case, his father wasn't there. So she asked him, if you could talk to the gun can talk to you, what would you say to the gun? What would the gun say to you? He said, well, I would say to the gun, I would take you everywhere I go. I would keep you with me because I know you got me. I know you're going to take me. And she said, well, what would the gun say back? The gun would say, take me everywhere you go. Because you can't trust me. I will protect you. Now, this child is connected to this gun in an emotional way. It ain't that we ride around and look and shoot people. It's that their gun is his father. Their gun is his protector. So in his mind, their gun tell him what to do. Just like if your daddy would tell you what to do. So kids are connected through trauma to committing crimes. Because I was doing stuff and it really was a trauma that I didn't know I had, or I didn't, my father wasn't there for me. So joining this game was my father, right? That was my brother, that was my family. I felt protected with them. So when I got into education, when I first went to school, because I had a child when I was 19, I had to take custody of my child. God, he had my life orchestrated in a way that was different. But when I took custody of this child, I did know that I had to change my life eventually because I had to deal with him every day. It was just a different 19-year-old, a man, black man on top of that, dealing with a child every single day, literally every single day. When I went to school finally, and I got to school and I made good grades, it was at Southwest Community College. I made good grades, made me feel something I never felt before. I was like, okay, I got an A. That made me feel very important. I got an A. I didn't, in high school, we wasn't serious in high school when I was in school. So when I first got into Southwest, the teachers that I had, they weren't just teachers, they was like you said, they was mentors. They seen something in me that I didn't see in myself. So once I started feeling something different from the streets, what I was feeling, then it started registering. I'm smart. Not knowing when I was doing stuff in the street, I was organizing drugs and I was really good at selling drugs. It was marijuana, I was good at it. I was making $100,000 at 24 years old. I was good at running this organization, which I could have been good at running a business. I had the same talent, the same gift, but it's either you use it negative or positive. For me, I didn't get an opportunity to use it positive, the gifts that I had. So guess what I'm gonna use? Negative. Not knowing if I could be an entrepreneur in the streets, I could be an entrepreneur that run a company. But I didn't know this until I actually got that chance to experience. So for me, Southwest really changed my life when I first came here. Because not only did it expose me to using my gift in a positive way, my teachers was mentors to me. They was more than professors, it was more than grades, it was life lessons I learned here. And they understood, they gave me, like Dr. said, their grace. I had a child, so I was a single parent coming here. They gave me grace on homework and papers because I had to work, I had to provide for a child and come here. So education, it put me in a place where that I got to see a part of me that I'd never seen before. You can tell me all day that you give it. You can tell kids they have it all day, but if they don't get the opportunity to feel it and see it for themselves, it's just a seed. And like any other seed, it takes water, it takes sun, the seed has to have a process. We need to be patient and give grace, because all of that have a process. So education for me, again, once I got it, And I started making, what was it, dean list and all this kind of stuff. And that's my counsel right there, Rich Tony. She, I had a black woman who understands the black man as a single parent. She here goes some money to her, need this. She always looked me up because I had to take her a child. So I was so grateful I got her. But she understood single black man is a parent. Because as a parent, I knew I had to change my life eventually. And I didn't even want to stop education. Once I started getting deemed this, and Dr. Slum, they give me these awards, I'm getting appraised for doing something great for them. Because, I just stopped going to school with Christian brothers. When I go to Christian brothers, I can take on Christian brothers now. I went in there 3.4 or something like that, graduated with. And it was like I didn't want to stop doing good things once you get a taste of it. Just like the negative, once you get a taste of it, once I feel that power, whether it's negative or positive, you're gonna keep being addicted like a drug. It's like a drug, it's like being addicted to crime. I was addicted to crime. I was addicted to stealing cars and selling drugs. It was like an insurance rush that can't just stop because it's like any other drug. You put somebody in jail because they're high. They gonna get back out and get high as soon as life hits me. It's not gonna solve the problem. So I just feel like, for me, the education changed my life by exposing me to something else that my gifts can be used for. And
Think about how you said you were part of a gang and you felt like something. That instantly reminded me of tribalism, human nature. Like, I feel like tribalism, when you're in, you want purpose, you want to feel like you belong, you want to connect with people. But I also feel like tribalism it also does, like religion, while it's trying to help you, it also creates harm. Like, you say, these are my people and you have your other people. And I'm not saying tribalism is bad, it's how you use tribalism better. And like you said with how you can't stop doing something, doing crime, because that's all you ever know. But when you found out you were good at something else, it shows you that you have another option, a more creative and constructive way of doing something. Really respect.
appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanford, for sharing that. Dr. Marcus Matthews, how does ACEs impact an individual's choice to choose a life of crime?
Great question. And for those of us who are not familiar, ACEs are adverse childhood experiences, and simply it's been defined as trauma that we experienced before the age of 18. Initially, there were 3 categories where ACEs fell, and it would be abuse, neglect, household dysfunction. And as Jan mentioned earlier, that abuse could be physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, that neglect. It could be emotional neglect, right? Not hearing I love you, not having that parental family support. It could be physical neglect, not having, food or shelter. And then in terms of household dysfunction, having an incarcerated parent, having a family member addicted to drugs and alcohol. So it's a wide array of things that can happen to someone that would be considered an adverse childhood experience. And initially, the range was from 0 to 10. And for each indicator you would check, the average person had 1 ACE. And the more ACEs that an individual had, the more likely they would be to have these very negative consequences or behaviors later in life. even things like obesity, mental health issues, alcoholism, of wide array of things that can happen. And one of the most interesting aspects that I think about later in life is when we talk about risk behavior. Certain things don't bother certain people the way they bother other people, depending on their perspective. So, I was watching a movie and the kid wouldn't cross the street because the gentleman wouldn't hold the child's hand. And so this child had been trained that it's not safe to cross the street by yourself as a child without an adult to cross the street with you. And I've seen kids run out the street like they had bumps. What's the difference? Right? If I saw daddy put a pistol to mama's head last night, and I thought she was gonna die, and I thought we were all gonna die, how concerned am I about going across the street? That's that adverse childhood experience, and that's that translation into regular life. And you think about the people, right? Say, okay, well, I'm gonna have a Red Bull and vodka. That's not a good combination. Scientifically, you got up and down, but you want to feel good, but you want to stay woke, right? Somewhere you should realize this is a risky behavior in and of itself. This one drink, and I guess I should have said energy drink. I don't want, but this is a risky behavior. I can have a heart attack right here, right now, because of this combination that I just put into my body. But depending on what our experiences have been up to this point, we may or may not see that as a risk. And crime would fall under that same umbrella. What's gonna happen that hasn't already happened? Can my situation be any worse? Or I'll be okay. I've been through everything else. I'll make it through this, whether I'm arrested or not. So adverse childhood experiences definitely play a role. And interestingly enough, the CDC out of Atlanta, Georgia, they recently said that economic disadvantage and systematic racism are also adverse childhood experiences. So in addition to what it said was they contribute to chronic stress. And so in terms of adverse childhood experiences and chronic stress, there's a certain level of stress that's normal and natural and necessary, right, for us to grow. There are certain levels of stress that we simply, it is the same with conflict, right, that are normal and natural, but it's this chronic stress is the stuff that kills us and drives us to a place where we don't have that balance. And just, interestingly enough, when we're talking about poverty, and definitely thank you, Jan, delineated that poverty takes a lot of different faces. And it's the same, in terms of crime, because we all could have asked, what kind of crime are we talking about? We're talking about violent crime. We're talking about, money crime. We're talking about sexual crime. So, all of those things, that they have those different faces. But certainly, traumatizing experiences that individuals have during childhood, especially when unaddressed, right? When we don't even know that that was a problem. I hear a lot of people from humble beginnings say things like, You know, my parents did such a good job. We didn't know that we were poor. You know, we didn't realize that we were poor until we got into a place where we saw something different. So, absolutely, there's a very strong correlation, and there's a lot of research that supports it.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews, for that interesting information.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I've heard each one of you say something about adverse and kids. What we fail to realize is we forget the Curious George effect. The monkey. He chose to try stuff, and he found out he liked it. He has to be schooled on. I'm from Memphis, and in 1972, International Harvester, all the good jobs, the cattle yard, all that stuff left. Believe it or not, during that same process, the women were able to have the same jobs that the men had. Then Havron was on the scene because a lot of veterans that came back from the war needed that drug. So it was fast money back then. See, we can't just talk about what happened right now. The laws that was changed, the drugs that was brought in, the mothers out of the house working 2-3 jobs at $7.25 trying to take care of 3 children. The neighbor kids, they all out there. Y'all know this from kindergarten. We try stuff. Somebody else influence us. Our parents didn't tell us about the birds and the bees, but we learned about sex, mental health, crime. That's a choice. We all choose to do what we gonna do. I say that because I'm a 2-time convicted felon, but I came to Southwest. That's because I had somebody backing me through the VA hospital. A lot of these kids don't have that support. Once you get in the 5th grade, you start taking chances with all kinds of stuff. Now let's talk about the music industry. Let's talk about the government making laws for these folks to have guns without a license, without being screened. And they're not the only ones. Like the lady sitting there next to the officer. There's rich people doing the same stuff. Poverty is just one part that we always talk about. But if you don't till the soil over, you can't plant no seed. Then some people believe you can't just be your children. Children that go undisciplined will go any way they want to. Uncle Sam disciplined me when I got out of line, but the government made that law. It's more resources here, like the lady said, but you don't advertise that. You advertise 911, but you won't advertise the crisis hotline intervention, where when the police to come out, they ain't coming out for action. 911 coming out for action. So when somebody calls for a mental health crisis and they loved one get killed by the police, they no longer trust the police. They no longer even want to call them, so they handle it themselves. We have to look at the big picture. There's no small picture to this. Matter of fact, a lot of the stuff that we need to work on ain't even in no book. What's in the book is what somebody else's opinion is of how stuff goes. Have any one of y'all been to the penitentiary?
I visited.
Some people don't even want to come out of the penitentiary because you got to pay bills, you got to pay taxes, you got to pay taxes on the taxes that you don't pay. Everything going up, but you ain't got no money. But when it comes to this crime, that's a choice. Because even as a gangbanger in the Disciple Nation, they ask you, is this what you want? When you make that choice, they beat you in, or there are things you got to do. These kids are smart. I have a 4-year-old grandson. He know how to use the cell phone better than I do. Speaking of that, they got games on them cell phones that these kids actually play to kill. They practice it. And it's a thrill to get out there and do it. But what they don't realize is once you kill somebody one time, you'll kill again. But the government ain't said nothing about that. Let's look at the big picture now. All of us been kids before. Mental health, the military have a whole list of mental health issues. Don't you know homicide, the plan to kill somebody is a mental health issue? Killing somebody, homicide, is a mental health issue. That's why some people, when they go to court, he got a mental health issue, but he don't kill 20 folks, right? So let that be me. Kill one person. I'm going straight to jail and mental health is not coming up. Let's look at the big picture now. Not everything is in a book. God gave us common sense, but we choose to follow the books that they set before us to believe and be conditioned to believe what they want us to believe. Because my child, I raised mine. She know better. I ain't have to whoop her one time. Just to get her attention. That's it. And then you educate them. But if the mother ain't at home, we ain't listening to the daddy. The daddy doing something else. Mother's working 2-3 jobs. Got to come home, clean up, got to cook, can't make the PTA meeting. Somebody being bullied at school, now they got to fight. But they ain't got no fight game, so they take a knife or a gun. This is the realization of what we living in. I'm certified mental health supplement, counselor through the state of Tennessee. I also went to the University of Memphis and got my bachelor's in social work before I got sick. I love helping people, but people gotta want to help themselves. You can make all these excuses. What good does it do if you don't put it into action? You got to give people the information and let them choose. Because they sure choosing to pick that gun up. And if they one of them ever go to jail and do 3 to 5 years first, on their first offense, I don't believe they're coming back. Because now here in the state of Tennessee, you go in, come out, go in, come out, go in, come out. But on your first offense, if you do 5 years flat, that's a different ballgame. But somebody in there gonna tell them young folk that ain't where it's at. Nobody dropping nuggets anymore. They making excuses. The excuses have to stop. It ain't just the mothers, the father. It's the government as well that's making the laws for this stuff to happen. We all have ethics that we have to follow when we sign this contract for a job. We have policies and procedures to follow. Who made that? Don't blame the kids. Because the kids had the Curious George effect. Then the rap music, the industry. Come on now. Hey, I'm done.
May I add something to it? I think that, going on to a lot of these points and, in this society right now, I call it the opposite. For some reason, it seemed like doing the opposite of what we were supposed to do that was correct is working. And so when I see, like I said, people doing things that are being successful and it's not supposed to work, then I question a lot of what my teaching means. Of having morals, ethics, of following the rules. If I follow the rules and do exactly what you tell me to do, there's supposed to be some kind of success after that. If there isn't, then I have to question myself, why? What's going on? Is there a different system? Why I went to school? Why I got 2 degrees? This guy didn't do none of that. Has a felony, has all these other things against him, and yet he's more successful than me. How can I give that to my kids? Do it my way or do it this way? Daddy, you did it this way. How come you don't have the money? He has money. He has these things. He's more successful and popular by doing the wrong things than you are. Now I have to explain that. What is right? How to do this? I want you to go to school. Dad, you went to school, now you got student loans. Are you happy paying student loans back? No. This guy made one rap song, and now he's successful and going all over the place. People listen to him. And now we talk about the President of the United States. 34 felonies. I remember getting a misdemeanor for driving on spinning license, and I'm getting arrested that same day. Southfield, Mississippi. Arrest me Friday. By that Monday, I had to come up with $700 to get out like that. And here you go, President of the United States. 34 felonies. People still love him. Is it the opposite day? How you tell your kids that this is the right way to go when they're seeing what's working?
One thing that you explain to your children and have them be observant, and you may need to research this to find some examples. But when the money comes fast, it leaves fast. They may be more successful than you at that particular point, but if they've gained those fruits from a fallow tree, it can be easily taken away from them once they get caught. You can go from having a big house, all the money, and driving nice cars to it's gone because the government's going to take it. And you never know when it's going to happen. During my career with Memphis Police, I worked undercover as a narcotics investigator. Changed my name, embedded me with the drug gang. I wasn't from Memphis. I grew up in the area. I wasn't from Memphis. They didn't know me in Memphis. 101 people got indicted for my work. 101 people who were living that fast life that had the money, driving in nice cars, indicted, and you confiscate their belongings. So look at it now, but also look at it later when they do come down. And we have plenty of examples of people who have taken the ball. Plenty of examples.
Thank you for the book.
I just want to add real quick. We also have to have realistic expectations or definitions of success that we teach and share to our children. I definitely understand your point in terms of the competing interests that we have to face now raising children, that we have to face now with young people, who we deal with. But at the same time, I believe, and I have a 15-year-old daughter right now, and I'm hoping that I am setting a realistic expectation for her of what success is. And we talk about success. Success is not always tied to finances. Success can be attaining certain goals in life, and the goal could be not getting on drugs, not becoming addicted to drugs, not committing crime, not whatever success is for every person, it can be different. But I think we need to do a better job in defining what success is for us, because success for me is not like you said, what we see on television or the money. That doesn't do anything for me. My day to day, waking up every day is a challenge for a lot of people. Getting out of the bed is a challenge for a lot of people. And so when we talk about success and think about success, we need to make sure that we have realistic and reasonable examples to share and to teach our children. And for my daughter, actually, and I just got to brag for a moment because I was so shocked, not so shocked that I didn't think she was capable, but I thought the challenge was going to be too great for her. She's just finished ninth grade. She took 2 advanced placement classes that I was not prepared for. I was like, no, we need to change her schedule. At the beginning of her freshman year, I said, no, she's not ready for this. I don't want that much stress on her. We got to change her schedule. And so then, but that was me, right, as her mother. But I asked her, I said, what do you think about it? Tell me what your thoughts are. She said, well, let me just try it and see. I said, well, okay. I'll let you try it and see. She finished both of those courses. The first, she took an AP psychology course, made an A in it, and she took the AP exam. We're waiting on the results, so y'all pray with me that this girl gets at least, I think it's a 3 or higher in order to get college credit. Her second AP course that she took, I think she made a C in it, but she also took the exam for that course. We're waiting on the, results from that, and I guess they should come sometime this summer, hoping that she can get college credit. But as a 9th grade student, she made all A's and 1 C. And those AP classes, she was so upset because one exam she did not get a chance to finish. Oh, she cried. And I said, girl, listen, it's not the end of the world. You are a 9th grade student who has just successfully completed 2 AP exams. 2 AP courses. You could likely get college credit, but if you don't get college credit, it's not the end of the world. You know you're going to be in dual enrollment. You don't hype her up like, girl, you know you got this, it's okay. And I said, but look at your grades, like you did well, you should be proud of yourself. And from that, she started to see, wait a minute, I was successful. I said that one exam or you not finishing that one exam does not determine who you are. It does not determine how far you will go. You completed the class. You did something that a lot of 9th graders are not doing. You did something I didn't do. And I thought I was, the these in 9th grade. I love this, but she's doing way better than I did. And so I had to give her those examples to help ground her and help her understand you don't have to reach somebody else's goal, reach your goal. What is success for you? And passing that course, I had to help her study. The rigor of that course I thought was too much, but she made it work. So I had to help her understand success for you is for you. Nobody else's definition, my definition, was not enough. So I think we need to do more in teaching and showing our children what success is and what success is not, and realistically and reasonably.
I had one quick thing. I'll be 50 this year, and I have never seen in my life black men who has a pattern of success in their family, where the grandfather, the father, the child has a pattern where they built off each other. Even the superstars today, Tyler Perry, Michael Jordan, whatever, they didn't have that structure. But what about what you say? We can have success for ourselves. What's been universal, in my opinion, is success financially, because the laws and the rules are based upon that. You can have a straight A student. You can be smart, but if they're not financially successful, that plays a part in their direction in life. If they can be smart but can't do the field, that affects us. They be smart but can't do certain things. So restrictions happen because you're not financially successful. You're smart, you're gifted pianist, whatever it is. But without that money, society doesn't recognize what you have accomplished.
Society doesn't have to.
Well, let me explain for that. I give you my story real quick. Child support. Like I said, I got 2 degrees. I got custody of my kids. I got all that. I crossed up every single time. And yet, when I go down there, they treat me totally different. They treat me like a Doberman Pinscher or a Great Dane. You feel like apple, comes out the other apple. That's what they treat me like. Nothing else matters except doing the rules what they say, which is the finances. Now, is that the reason why my father wasn't in my life? Is that the reason why nobody in my entire neighborhood has custody of the kids? Is that the reason? Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. I'm the only one in Parkville, in my neighborhood, well, at least 4 or 5 blocks that has their kids, that's been in college, that does everything, and yet I still feel no there. I wonder why. Well, what was wrong with me? I felt inferior. No matter how successful I got, if it's not financial, it doesn't count. No matter how many speeches, no matter how many awards I get, I won an award for being a good father. It didn't count. Why? No favorable breaks to me, nothing. Just that foot on the neck. That's what I got. That foot on my neck. They didn't want to move from it. They didn't move. They didn't want to move from it. They wouldn't even let me go with $25. $25. They wouldn't. In Memphis, Tennessee, like I said, I had to pay back child support. It's $25 a month. Went down there, and they said everything was okay. I finally got the mother coming in there. Figured out the lady told me wrong. I was short 1 month for $25. And I had to start all the way over and pay back child support. Took my driver's license, everything. What was the purpose? I didn't know. I decided this. They just didn't like me. Or what I was doing was so rare that they couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it. It's so rare, it doesn't exist. So we go walk and walk past that. That's why I said what I said.
And can I add something? My experience, like he said, you know, I was one of the guys that had all the money and y'all took away, just like that. For me, I look at success through a perspective of gratefulness. My spiritual walk with Christ showed me a different perspective of success. And you mentioned it too. Me being able to wake up today and handle my day, that's success for me. And the point is, the financial money part is the trap, because that's what trapped me. I felt like finance, money was success. So when I went out there and got, like you said, that fast money, really, really fast, and then lost it really, really fast, I was back to square one. I was back to, okay, obviously, this ain't me, because I was success. And then when I'm sitting in jail, it's like everything's gone. Everybody is gone. No, but nothing's there. What did I succeed in? Where's success? So I couldn't materialistically make my success based on money, because that's what's wrong with a lot of us as young people. Think money is success. That's it, just money. If I got money, I'm successful in you. And then take the money away from me, I'm traumatized, because it's like I did all that work. I sacrificed my life. I sacrificed my freedom. And then once I get caught and it's gone, then where is success in it? So gratefulness for me. You know, where I'm at today, I didn't regain more being where I'm at today. But gratefulness in my walk with Christ is really what made me see life from a different perspective. Because again, you waking up today and I'm breathing, I'm successful. I can see, because I think where some people didn't wake up today. And then some people woke up blind. And then some people woke up crippled. And some people woke up in so many circumstances today. So what is success? Is it me getting good grades? Is it me being able to have an opportunity to raise my kids, whether child support try to take it or not? If I raise my kid, it's just depending on your perspective. And I just say, being humble, these kids thinking rap music and what they see on TV, because that's all they're shown is this is success. This car, I thought cars were successful, then I got my car remodeled. It's like, whoa, it was just out there, now it's gone. Then everybody else felt weird. So I said, this is just not true. This can't be real. This success, what I'm chasing is not real success, or what is success. And I feel like you said, it has to be different levels to success. But for me, it was my walk with God. It was my walk with Christ. It really showed me what success, because I looked at life from a different perspective. And like now, I don't have to tell people I've been in jail 26 times, from juvenile to an adult. And today, no felony, spokesman or expungement claim. Go in jail, we got 62 people baptized in the penal form about 3 months ago. They listened to me because I can relate. Then I realized, okay, God, you let me go through all this. Why? Because it's bigger than me. And when I realized that, well, I'm not lucky, I'm not special, I'm not none of that, it was all for His glory. It was all to tell people, oh, He's real. Christ is real, because I walked with Him. I know you read the book, but I'm telling you my story. And they listen, they say, well, I ain't never even heard it like that before. Right. Everybody in the Bible, God, people had problems. He picked people with missed issues. He picked people that was flawed on purpose so He can show you. So success, really, for me, is you have to have a relationship with God. Don't nothing else work. And He'll let you try everything. Drugs, streets, money, go to school, get an education. You try everything you want to try. And you still have that empty space. It's still not going to be fulfilled. Because what we look at worldly is success, not success. I want to pass to God and say, well done. That's success. When I wake up and see my beautiful wife sitting right there with our beautiful little small kids and they smiling, that's my success. So when I go tell those young guys that I've been on both sides, I know what the real success is, the real goal, And I say gratefulness because I'm grateful. I'm just great. I look at everything and look for the light. And in a storm, I praise God through the worst. When everything gets really, really worse, that's when I give him my best praise. Because I'm grateful. You know, I'm so even if I made a bad grade today, I'm just grateful for being able to be in school. Like I just look at things different. So the success thing that we portray is that worldly materialistic, that's what drives us in the wrong way. That's what makes us say, oh, you're not successful, you got 2 degrees. This person says, we got a car. Materialistic. And that's one.
Appreciate it.
Wow, I love that. That's gratefulness. I'm so sorry, you guys. But we are now approaching the end of our panel discussion. We would like to give our panelists one last final statement that they would like to leave with our audience. We will start with Dr. Marcus Matthews, and we're gonna go after you, okay? Just one final statement that you would like to leave with our audience.
We've talked about so much. I definitely, we have to evaluate our values to understand what success means for us. You know, even going back to the thing about outcomes, you have to determine what outcomes are fitting for you. Each and every one of us has to make that determination. I think about my grandfather and being able to see him with my grandmother until he died. On the couch, watching with a fortune. You know, they were successful. They were happy. And the values they instilled in their children that I was able to adopt. I've seen miserable millionaires. Not from a distance. You know, I've been in the room with professional athletes who are all torn up because they chose the wrong person. And they're miserable. We think about the Great Depression. We had millionaires jumping out of buildings because they lost money. They couldn't live off of 6 figures. It's not about the money. Now, there is a thing called accountability. And we do have to deal with a broken system. And so there are some fundamental flaws in the system that have not been fixed. And we have to try to stay out of that way because we don't want to get caught up in it. And once we're caught up in it, then we lose a lot of control. But within that, still having those fundamental values of understanding what real happiness is, the value of peace, and using that true self to get to that. And everything else will follow. Delayed don't mean denied. You'll get it. The only people that don't get it is the people that quit. But don't make your focus on that goal of a material possession, a car or a house. Make it on being your true self and finding peace and purpose.
Thank you. Dr. Green, do you have one last statement?
Thank you for having me today. I appreciate it. One thing that I want to leave everyone with is be cognizant of how you carry yourself. Because you never know who is watching you and who is looking up to you as a role model. You will have someone, even younger people. Okay, I'm not just speaking of the older people, even the younger people. Because you're going to have someone who is, and you may not even know it. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I was at a conference in Florida, and a chief from another department who used to be with Memphis Police came up to me. I did not know who he was, and told me how I influenced him, and I didn't know his name, but he saw me and how I operated, how I carried myself in the police department, and how I was a leader, and that influenced him. And I didn't even know his name. So you never know who's watching, when they're watching, how they're watching. carry yourself accordingly to be a good role model for those that you know are watching and those who may be watching that you don't know.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. Do you have one last statement for us?
To carry on the theme, I would just share an often spoken quote. Be the change that you want to see in the world.
Thank you, Dr. Numbers. Yeah.
I swear Dr. Young just read my mind. That is my exact quote, but I was going to add, be and teach what you want to see in the world. Because it's being that way, just as Mr. Greenleaf and Dr. Young said, being who you want to see in the world is one thing, but then teach somebody else. Right? Even if you see someone, young people, and I feel like I'm now of the age where I can kind of say stuff to folks, you know how older people can say stuff to get away with it. I'm in that age group now, so when I see young folks, when I see young people, young men, young women, sweetheart, pull your shirt down. Young man, pull your pants up. And they'll say, yes, ma'am, but I'm doing it with love. But I'm doing that, I'm doing love, I'm doing it with compassion, but teach people too. It's not enough to just be, but then teach people. So that's not me.
Thank you so much. Last but not least, Mr. Sanford.
Yeah, pretty much what all of them said, right? Well, I would say for me, we are here for a reason. It's just bigger than our goals and education and all of that. We here for a really big purpose. So I would say, ask yourself, what is my purpose? Get your relationship with God. And for me, I got a different perspective on looking at the world. I don't take nothing personal no more. I take everything spiritual. I don't take nothing personal. And I feel like once you get close in that relationship with God, He'll tell you who you are. You will find out who you are. It's always bigger than everything is bigger than success, than the world says success. So I say, get your relationship with God at the end of the day.
Right.
Thank you. Please stand on your own kindness and round of applause and stand ovation. You guys, thank you so much for the insight and your responsibilities. You can guys take some regular, but you can let us make sure it's not with us. You can give us some information about crime and I see you. Thank you all so much for attending, and we appreciate you for coming to our DMAC conference on today. Thank you.